The room was filled with the sound of breathing. Jungkook was on the women, moving back and forth, his voice echoing through the space. The woman beneath him was crying out, pleading for him to stop, but her words fell on deaf ears, who was completely lost in his own words. After what felt like an eternity, about an hour and a half, Jungkook finally got up and sat on the edge of the bed, his chest rising and falling as he catch his breath. The woman, who had been laying motionless on the bed, slowly sat up. She reached out, gently running her fingers across his head, her voice softly and sultry. Emma, did you enjoy yourself, master? She asked, her eyes searching his face for approval. Jungkook smiled, already knowing what she was hinting at. Without a word, he picked up his phone and, with a few minutes, $50,000 into her account. A notification burst on her screen and her face lit up with joy. She leaned in, but Jungkook's expression turned cold. Jungkook, not so fast. He sneered, shoving her off the bed and onto the floor. She landed with a soft thud, her eyes wide with shock. Jungkook, your place is down there at my feet, he said with a voice dripping with arrogance. Don't even think about coming near me unless I tell you to. Emma looked at him, her excitement replaced by a mixture of fear and submission. She nodded, knowing better than to argue with him. Jungkook was the leader of a feared mafia, a man who believed that love was a trap, a dangerous illusion that could break even the strongest of men. His life was built on control, power, and the certainty that emotions only led to betrayal. To him, caring for someone was a weakness, and he had no intentions to ever letting anyone get close enough to hurt him. Wine, a 21-year-old woman with gentle heart and a childlike innocence, had lived her entire life in a home that didn't feel like one. Her father had remarried after her mother passed away, and from that second marriage came Taehyung, her stepbrother. At 25, Taehyung was a complex mix of resentment and hidden desires, so that appeared cold and indifferent to wine. He secretly harbored a dark obsession with her. His feelings were twisted more about control and possession than love. Wine had always tried to win Taehyung's affection, unaware of the true nature of his feelings. She didn't understand why he was so distant, why he never treated her like a real sister. Despite her efforts, he remained aloof, leaving her feeling lonely and unloved in the home they shared. Flashback. When Wine was 12, something happened that changed everything. Their parents had gone on a business trip abroad, leaving Wine alone with Theo. One night she woke up to find him standing beside her bed, his expression unreadable. Opa, what's wrong? She asked, her voice filled with sleepy confusion. Theo didn't answer. Instead, he sat down on the edge of the bed, his hand reaching out to stroke her hair. Wine, still half asleep, didn't realize the danger, but then his hand moved lower and she tensed up. Suddenly, wide awake, oh, Pa, what are you doing? She whispered, fear creeping into her voice, but Tim didn't stop. He pressed his lips to her forehead, then her cheek, and then Wine tried to push him away, but he was stronger. The more she struggled, the more determined he became. She cried, her small hands trying to fight him off, but he didn't listen. He did something that night that left a scar on her soul, one she wouldn't fully understand until she was older. The next morning, Theo acted as if nothing had happened. He was as cold and distant as ever, and she was confused and hurt. Didn't know how to process what she had experienced. She didn't tell anyone, not even when her parents returned. She buried it deep down, not understanding that the memory would continue to haunt her as she grew older. Now, at 21, Wine still lived with Taehyung, but the relationship was strange. She tried to be cheerful and kind, but something inside her had changed. There was a darkness she couldn't quite explain, a feeling of unease that never left her. One day, while returning an errand in the city, Wine found herself in a dangerous situation. A group of men, rough and menacing, had cornered her in an alley, demanding money she didn't have. Scared and unsure of what to do, Wine tried to explain they had the wrong person, but they would not listen. Just as things seemed hopeless, a man stepped out from the shadows. It was Jungkook with a calm and commanding presence. He quickly took control of the situation, sending the man returning with just a few words. Wine, shaken but grateful, looked up at him with wide eyes. Wine, thank you, you saved me, she whispered, her voice still trembling. Jungkook looked down at her, his expression unreadable. There was something about her, something innocent yet broken, that catch his attention. He felt a flicker of emotion, something he had not felt in years, but he quickly pushed it away, reminding himself that caring was dangerous. Jungkook, be more careful next time, he said coldly. The world isn't as kind as you think. Ryan nodded, her heart still racing. She didn't know who this man was, but she could tell he wasn't like anyone she had ever met before. As he returned to leave, she called out to him, Wine, wait, what's your name? Jungkook paused for a moment, then looked over his shoulder. Jungkook. And with that, he disappeared into the night, leaving Vine standing there, wondering why she felt a strange connection to a man so seemingly unfeeling. Back home, Theo noticed a change in Vine. She seemed distant, lost in thought more often than usual. It irritated him, especially when he found out that she had met someone else. The idea of another man entering her life stirred something dark within him. Theo, where were you today? Wine, he asked one evening, his tone sharper than usual. Just running errands, she replied, avoiding his gaze. I heard you ran into some trouble. He pressed, watching her closely. Wine hesitated, not wanting to mention Jungkook. It was nothing, just some guys, but someone helped me. Jing's eyes narrowed. Who? He demanded, his voice cold. Just a stranger, she said quietly, trying to downplay the encounter. Hmm. Now come to my room. He smirked and went from there. God, when I will get free from this hell. On Jungkook's mention, very soon you will be my sweetheart.